been about a year since we made that dry traditional mead, so let's see how's it doing.
So first off, it is beautiful.
Second, it's 12.5% ABV. Not too bad. This finished dry. I didn't specify, but yeah, it doesn't. I didn't write it on there because, you know, it's dry. It's 1.000 or below, most likely. But this is just a basic traditional meant to be dry.
It has a lovely aroma.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like
very honey forward.
Honey, but almost like a fruity floral combo honey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It smells a little sweet.
It does.
A little floral, a little fruity. Oh wow, this is
fruity floral.
Yeah, so far I'm pretty happy about this.
Yeah.
Let's see if the taste actually lives up to that though.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. This is good. This is quite good.
Now for our tasting, I did a major faux pas, and that is I was drinking another beverage before this beverage. Oh, I was cheating on the dry mead. And I didn't take a nice good swallow of water, or I didn't eat any crackers or anything else.
I too was drinking something else, but mine was dry. Hers was sweet.
So I think that may have tainted the situation. So let's remedy that, shall we? With Brian's giant Yeti.
It's only 46 ounces. I don't think I need I don't want to. I'm enjoying this.
All right, so let's try that again. I still have to smell it because I'm Derica.
The bouquet on this is incredible.
It's really lovely. So I'm getting a lot more of a white wine type scenario for me. And up front, I'm not getting sweetness. I'm getting that almost cleansing that you get from white wines.
Okay.
And coming straight off the aroma, it's a little, I'm taken a little aback. And then from there, it kind of evens out, and so that change for me is coming off almost watery, which is unusual. And then on the end, and I can tell by Brian's expression that he's getting a completely different experience, and that is completely okay and actually normal. And then at the end, I'm getting more notes, but they're more green, not green like youth, but green like
earthy,
vegetable. Grassy vegetable. Yeah.
Okay. I see everything that you're talking about to a point. However, for me, on the entrance, I get the hint of honey. It doesn't taste as much of honey as it smells of honey. It smells very strongly of honey. On the intake, I get a hint of honey, a slight sweetness, and almost like a creamy smoothness. Not creamy, not the diacetyl, just a smoothness that it coats my mouth.
Yeah, I think it's that, I used to call it soft.
Yeah,
that soft
it
sensation.
definitely has that. It does not have a strong tannic component and a very mild acidic component. So that's where the wateriness you're talking about. I do detect the wateriness. It could be a little bit more tannic, but not. It's not like a bad thing. I mean, if you were to look at a triangle, the triangle's just aimed to one side a little bit. Because this doesn't have a lot of sweetness, it doesn't have a lot of acid, it doesn't have a lot of tannins. So that's where she's going. But also, it's not super high gravity or ABV to have a lot of punch behind it. I think I need more, though, for science. I rather like it, though. I think the white wine analogy is perfect. And a good traditional dry mead is a lot like a white wine. I mean, they just are. Once you ferment everything out and the sweetness goes away, it's What's left is the essence of the alcohol and the essence of the honey or grape if it was white wine. And yeah, that's what we're left with. I do get the floral thing though through the middle, and on the finish, I get just a touch of astringency, that little bit of a bitterness from the honey in the back of my throat. I think this is actually quite nice though.
I think I would enjoy this more paired with food than I would drinking it alone. And now that I'm drinking it more, I'm probably becoming more acclimated to it, and the strawberry is going away. And I am getting a little bit of touch of honey sweetness at the very beginning now, the more I'm drinking it.
Yeah, the more I'm drinking of it, which I say this a lot, the more I drink of it, the more I appreciate it. But it's not the alcohol talking. We're having like 2 ounces here. That's not it at all. It's more, I think the unpleasant things tend to fade into the distance, and you start to pick out things that you're looking for. Like, I'm looking for the honey, so I'm finding it. And I'm not looking for, harsh flavors or anything like that. There are none. This is very smooth, very rounded. It's slightly out of balance. That's as much negative as I can really give it. It's slightly out of balance. If it was slightly more acidic, slightly tannic, like if this was oaked, I think this would be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would absolutely be phenomenal.
And I know we say that a lot, but oaking really does bring many of the beverages that just have a slight bit of discordancy, even though this one really isn't that discordant, but it just has like a little note that's like off. It just really rounds everything out and brings everything together and adds those little bit of
It also covers up our mistakes
and stuff. It just
be
makes it
honest.
really nice. And because this seems like a really good base, and I keep comparing it to white wine, and in my brain, white wine is a base for cooking. Sorry, white wine enthusiasts.
Well, it is a base. If you think about it, any basic cider, any basic wine, any basic mead, they're a base. They're a foundation to build on. So you could take this recipe and change it. Add your flavors, add fruit, add other sugars, add other things to it, and get a completely different brew.
Right.
But this is the basis for it. And that's kind of the way we like to do things, is give you guys, here's a basic idea, and then you can expand on it. And, people are always asking, well, can I make it with this fruit instead of that fruit? Of course you can. It'll just be a different thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different thing. Now, some fruits, though they will work, may not work the same way. So you have to be a little bit careful, and it's good to ask those questions, because if you didn't ask and it's the one fruit that could be a problem and you do it, then we look bad for telling you, oh yeah, you can totally do it. Instead, most times, like somebody says, oh, can I substitute strawberries for blueberries? Of course you can. There's no problem there. They're almost the same thing. Now, can I substitute lemons for blueberries? While you can, doesn't mean you should, because they will change the pH, they will change the astringency, the acid levels, everything, and could, depending on the recipe, mess it up completely, make it stall, or make it taste ick. And there's a lot of ways that can go. It could also make it amazing, depending on what you're doing with it. So everything is a yes with a caveat. Just remember that. Sorry, that was my rant for the day.
I think my mind also, because I'm going towards the wines, and for me, wine is something you drink with food.
Yeah.
That's my go-to. When Brian creates something amazing for us to eat, I get all excited. I'm like, oh, what can I pair this with?
Yep, she puts it with a glass of wine.
And so I'm urged to pair this with food because it reminds me so much of a white wine.
Now, there's a good reason for pairing wine, especially wine, with food. It's because you have water-soluble flavors, fat-soluble flavors, and alcohol-soluble flavors. Coincidentally, tomatoes actually have an alcohol-soluble flavor that, if you do not add alcohol to your tomato sauce, doesn't come out. And if you put them in the fridge, it locks up some of the flavors, and they cannot be unlocked. Fun fact.
So, if you're not drinking a nice glass of wine with your tomato-based food, you're missing something. You're welcome.
I actually enjoy this. I would not say this is my favorite we've ever made. I would not put this as like the ultimate best example of a dry traditional mead, but I would say this is a quite good dry traditional mead. It's very hard to make a dry, basic mead taste really good.
Yes.
Because there's just not a lot there to support it. And any flaws are going to show. And we're seeing the flaw that it could use a little more tannic backbone. It could use a little bit more mouthfeel. That's really my complaint. I think the acidity is right.
Yeah.
Even the sweetness level, I don't mind it. Obviously, make it sweeter. It's going to taste better. That's just the way
And
things
then
are.
it won't be a dry mead anymore.
Right. So, to me, a little bit of a tannic aspect would alter this and make it really, really amazingly good. As it stands, though, I get the honey character coming through. Definitely taste the honey. I think we used an orange blossom honey for this.
I'm just thinking, comparing this
Taste it.
to my memories of dry mead. My memories of dry mead were samples at the Ren Fair, and those.
Oh, this is way better than that.
Yes, that's a nice way of saying it.
The stuff that we got at the Ren Fair, at our Ren Fair. Now, everybody's Ren Fair is different,
Yes.
and I know some people tell me that, oh, that's where I got the best meat ever. And you know what? I wish I was you.
I know.
I wish we lived closer to you, because we would totally go with you
I think
and
somebody
drink that
said
awesome mead.
There was one in Wisconsin that had awesome mead, and I'm like,
Of course, Wisconsin happens to be like the opposite side of the
Yeah.
country for us. So
Like,
it's a little
how-
inconvenient for us to just take a drive and go to the Ren
how
Fair.
much for plane tickets?
But
to
someday,
Wisconsin?
we'll think about it. Our Ren Fair mead, if I was to put a score on it, is somewhere between a 2 and a 3. I wouldn't dump it, but I definitely wouldn't choose it to drink. I might mix it with something that was good, or, just, I don't know, add a shot of it to like a whole glass of something else.
But we're getting
water it.
more of a Viking influence into our local Ren Fair, so we're hoping that with them
Yeah.
comes better mead.
Whereas this is significantly higher than a 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know the brand of the mead that they have. I know they had Bunratty.
Was that this one or the other?
That was this one.
Okay.
The last time we went.
But was,
Oh, no, it was the one in
that
Sarasota.
was- yeah.
Anyway, both of them suck. They both have crappy mead.
Okay. Just
What?
bring it down a notch, Brian.
That is brought down a notch. Think of all the things I could be saying.
So, in regards to that line of thought, it's time for numbers. Are you ready?
Yeah, I have a number.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 7.5. Wow, great disparity there. It's interesting.
So I'm low man, and I am not surprised at all because
It's not a Derek
this
thing.
isn't my thing. I'm a sweet girl. At least I like to think I am.
I think you're very sweet.
So, pretty much anything dry normally just kind of like, okay. But that being said, I didn't give it below 5 because I am getting increasingly hungrier by the moment the drinking this, and I know I'm not actually hungry because we just had lunch.
She's thinking about food.
But I'm thinking about food. This is making me thinking about food. This is making me thinking about what specific types of food I want to pair it with. And now I want those foods to be created so that I can drink more of this. So would that make it less
So
than a
what
5?
am I cooking for you for dinner tonight?
No, that would not make it less than a 5.
So what are you having me make now?
I don't know, because we're playing D&D and I have to make things.
Okay.
Anyway,
So that was why you gave it 5. I went 7.5 for a couple of reasons. One, I am trying to train myself to appreciate drier brews on purpose because I am diabetic. I don't like to bring that over to this channel much because it's a kind of a conflict, but it's true. And I am trying to train into appreciating drier brews. I do appreciate this. If it was sweeter, would I like it more? Absolutely. But that doesn't make it something I should be doing. So in my mind, as an example of a dry product, would I drink this? Well, yeah, I probably will finish this bottle in the next few days because it's that kind of good. I appreciate it that much, and I know it won't affect me negatively. Now, if you aren't diabetic and don't have any other illness that would cause you to have to drink dry, you may appreciate this anyway because it does have some of the fruity flavors coming through, some of the honey flavors coming through, and it's good in general. So as a product standing alone, I found it to be very good. As a product for me, given my exact situation, which everybody's situation is different, I found it to be very good. Now, 7.5 is not a 10, but it's not a 5, and it's not a 0. So it's good. It's not the best it can be. There's still room for improvement.
that said, If it tasted the way it smelled,
It'd be a 12.
it would be a 2000.
It smells so much
It
better
does.
than it
It really
tastes.
does.
And that is that's a phenomenon that happens quite often. I think if this was to sit, I don't think we have any more of these. I think I drank them all already. If this was to sit for 2, maybe even 3 years, it might actually get to those kind of numbers.
Sure.
Because I believe everything that's evolving within it needs to completely do its thing before it catches up to the smell.
And that's another thing that I'm going to talk about, is that as you're aging a fermented beverage, there are chemical changes occurring inside that bottle that you have no control over. They're going to happen. It's just what occurs.
More stuff falls out of.
And so that's
Solution
why you will notice that aged wines particularly tend to be more pricey, because that span of time has created a new elevated product. So aging your brews can, in most instances, not always, make a more refined, interesting beverage. It tends to round out some notes, it tends to blend things together, it tends to make a more well-rounded finished product, where non-aged brews tend to have disparate little sharp pockets of notes.
And the thing to remember with aging is that compounds are always being created and destroyed, okay? But the original is still there. So what I mean by that is the original ingredients are all still there. They just get put together differently. And that's where we say rounded, smoother, things like that. Because as it goes, say it's a long chain, and then that chain breaks in half, and then that chain breaks in half, and then in half, and then they start recombining. Over time,
But all the parts of the chain are
all
still
those
there.
parts are still
They're
there,
just
but now it's
connected
more
differently.
mixed together and more blended. That's pretty much what aging does. Easiest way to explain it. You'll also see sediment in aged brews. There's no avoiding it. It happens with commercial products as well. The reason you don't see it as much in our commercial products is a lot of times they actually filter them too. If it's filtered, you won't see as much. Plus also, how many times do you buy a commercial product, leave it sitting for 3 years before you drink it? Now, if you do, you probably will see a little bit of sediment in the bottom. In homebrew, more because, well, it's not always sat for a year before you bottled it. You know, you might have rushed it like we do because you have to put a video out and show people. Or you just, for whatever reason, it wasn't fully settled, it wasn't fully cleared. There's a million reasons, and you're going to get a little bit more. It's homebrew. Embrace the differences between homebrew and commercial products. Don't look at it as inferior or superior. It's just different. It's a different product. You get to make this small scale thing that your average commercial brewer can't do. And they can't do it because of legal reasons, insurance reasons, logistics reasons. There's so many things. Don't see it as better or worse. It's just different and it's your own. And that's the cool part about brewing for yourself.
So that is it for our 1-year review of our dry mead.
As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.